He's got it, wants to throw. Wentz looks, pressure comes. Wentz hit, sack, back inside the 20. Aiden Hutchinson, that's number 2.
Welcome, everyone, to the Big D podcast, where we talk all things Detroit sports. I'm Caleb, a longtime Detroit sports fan, and this is...
I am Ben, longtime Detroit sports fan and Michigan fan.
Yes, big Michigan Wolverines fan. We're going to talk about some of the big sports news in the world of Detroit sports today. And first of all, we're going to go over our favorite teams. So tell me, Ben, what are your favorite Detroit teams, and then your non-Detroit teams?
Favorite Detroit teams are obviously NFL, Lions, got the NHL with the Red Wings, NBA with the Pistons.
Of course, it's obvious, right?
Tigers for the MLB.
Obvious.
What
about your non-Detroit?
I've been watching them since when I grew up. Non-Detroit teams for the NFL, it is the Seahawks. And the reason it's the Seahawks is because I was growing up, Legion of Boom. I just love watching that dynasty. And Marshawn Lynch, just his energy on the field, baby, and everything like that.
All right, what about your NBA team?
Favorite non-Piston NBA team is the Golden State Warriors. Call me a bandwagon, call me whatever you want. But my friend who got me into the NBA mainly was a Golden State Warriors fan. And so I just always talk to him about the Warriors, and the dynamic duo of Steph and Clay is just insane.
Splash Brothers, baby. MLB.
Favorite MLB team that's not the Tigers is the Baltimore Orioles.
The Orioles.
Dare I say bandwagon?
Okay, it's been the Baltimore Orioles, not just this year. Come on, they've been worse than the Tigers have been over the last couple of years.
It's true.
But Baltimore Orioles, my uncle, huge Baltimore Orioles fan from Maryland, and talked to him about the Orioles a lot growing up. So
he's a big Cal Ripken guy, or?
Yeah.
Yes, everyone loved Cal Ripken back in the day. The longevity, I think, is what got people onto him. All right, NHL.
Honestly, for NHL, I feel like it would have to be. It's weird because I'm a Red Wings fan, but just the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay, explain honestly, before I go nuts.
It's really no reason. I just loved watching the Red Wings and
just the rivalry.
Red Wings and Maple Leafs rivalry.
Yeah.
And so I just
it's big, yeah.
I just love watching that rivalry, and it makes just my second favorite NHL team for some reason.
Fair enough. All right, I'll run into mine real quick. NFL team. My favorite team, besides the Lions, obviously. One pride. Favorite NFL team is the Panthers. And the reason behind this is growing up, I never had the newest gaming system. I always was gaming on the PlayStation 2 and everything. And so I had older Maddens, and that was when the Panthers and Patriots were kind of going after it. So I had my favorite player back in the day was Jake Delhomme and Steve Smith. I love those guys. They're straight dogs. And so ever since then, I kind of like them, and they're always kind of second to the Patriots. And anyways, I just like them, playing with them a lot. NBA, this is weird, but I'm going with the Timberwolves, and the reason behind this is because I took a trip to Minnesota one time, and I got to see the arena and everything, and I bought that was my first non-Detroit sport apparel I bought, and it was a Minnesota Timberwolves t-shirt, and it was kind of right when Andrew Wiggins was popping off and Cat was coming onto the scene. They just released their new neon uniforms, and I was 12 years old and in love with neon, so I had to like them. For MLB, it's the Braves. No, don't say it, bro. No, I loved the Braves for a long time. The reason was because my travel baseball team when I was growing up was the Braves, and so I always thought I I had to like the MLB team too. And then once I started watching baseball and started watching them, I really started to like them. And I, in fact, did cry when Freddie left. That is a fact. Tears did come from my eyes. So that was a sad day. But we're moving on from that. So on to NHL now. My favorite NHL team, besides the Red Wings, is the Vegas Knights. Don't call me a bandwagon, even though
Golden Knights.
it kind of is a bandwagon. And the reason is, honestly, there's no legitimate reason. Just the fact that their colors are the same as my high school's colors. That's literally it. And then they were kind of a new team, and so I latched onto them, and I watched this documentary on PK Subban and thought I was the biggest Vegas Knights fan of all time, and look where that's got him. Anyways, all right, moving on. What would you say your favorite sports moment is? Can be Detroit. It doesn't have to be Detroit. And it can be recent. It can be not recent. But let's hear it.
I would say my favorite Detroit moment that I've watched is just watching Miguel Cabrera in his final game of that Triple Crown season. Just that Triple Crown season, that all-around dominance, just insane of what he did that year.
Yeah, man, it's incredible.
And just, like, it's, like, crazy to think about that. The team I cheer for has the last Triple Crown winner and even has a Triple Crown winner to begin with, knowing how bad we've been in the last couple of years. Just the dominance that we used to have, it's insane. Just that entire team was insane. Starting rotation, but Miguel Cabrera caps it off.
Yeah, you know that saying, how you never know you're in the glory days until they're over? That's me with like the early 2010s Tigers. You know, you always thought there was going to be
Red
more,
Wings.
and then it just kind of ended. And we call it
the
the Dave
Red Wings,
Dombrowski effect. We'll get into that some other day. But anyways, my favorite Detroit sports moment, and this is very, very recent, is I actually attended Miguel Cabrera's last game as a Tiger. And it was so incredibly sad, but also really, really cool to see everyone involved in his career. They had different players on the big screen that were shouting him out, like David Ortiz was on there, Justin Verlander sent him all personalized messages. And so that would be my favorite moment was seeing him out there when he fielded that last ground ball playing first base. I've never heard a stadium get that loud before. And then just to see everyone kind of stop the game and realize, you know, this is a living legend. Like, this is literally one of the best hitters of all time. And that was his last game, and I got to witness it. And he's one of realistically, he's probably our favorite athletes, Detroit athletes of all time. Like, you can't really debate it.
Oh, yeah.
We grew up watching him. I mean, pretty much he was on the Tigers for our whole lives. Like, when he got traded, that was like right when we were kind of starting to walk. So, yeah, I mean, growing up now and watching my whole career or my whole life, I mean, you love him, right? All right, give me your favorite non-Detroit or Michigan sports moment.
Favorite non-Detroit sports or Michigan moment would probably be New England versus Seattle. And it's weird because Seattle's my second favorite team. But New England versus Seattle in the Super Bowl.
Run the ball.
When they passed it on the 1 yard line.
You said you were a Seahawks fan, so is this what's up with this? I mean, you have to be a Brady fan too, being a Michigan fan, right? So
yes, I'm a very big Brady fan. Like, seeing him win rings is insane. Like, just knowing his story and everything, being the draft pick he was, just insane. But honestly, like, it was just surreal to see a play like that in the Super Bowl, like an impact play like that in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
was just insane to see.
Yeah,
because like you had the Seahawks blow out against the Broncos, you had the Rams versus the Patriots in that 10-point Super Bowl.
Yeah,
like just there was not really any like there was insane moments because you got like the helmet catch and everything like that.
For sure.
But like from what I remember watching, that was the most insane moment I saw in like Super Bowl history. Was probably that one.
No, yeah, that was sick. That was probably one of my first memories of a Super Bowl, and so why enjoy it so much, even though you're a Seahawks fan?
It's just
because it's iconic.
I enjoy it so much. It's just iconic.
Okay,
it's
yeah,
just
that's fair.
An iconic play from one of, like in my opinion, one of the best Super Bowls I've seen.
Yeah, so very similar to yours in terms of not things happening not to our favorite teams. So my favorite sports moment was that's not Detroit was Yordan Alvarez's wild card home run against the Mariners in 2022. That 2022 was the year where I started watching baseball every day. Like I bought MLB TV and watched baseball every day. So I started falling in love with the sport more and more. And obviously, neither of us are big Astros guys for the reasons that it is for everybody else either. But I don't hate them as much as I used to, and I actually do really kind of like Yordan and what he's doing and how he impacts the game, especially this postseason. Right now, it's crazy. So him I don't mind, and watching the Mariners try to deal with him that whole series just blew my mind. So what happened was is I was at a dorm in Michigan State, like huddled around a TV watching this game. I couldn't tell you who else was there and everything, but I was just huddled around this little TV watching this game, and Yordan came up, right? And the Mariners, I don't remember who they were pitching at the time, but it was a righty. And so they were the Mariners were like, yeah, let's bring in a lefty. And you know what? Not just any lefty. We're going to bring in our former Cy Young, Robbie Ray, to come face him. And I watched and I was like, I don't know, man. Like Robbie hasn't looked too good recently and whatnot, whatever. Lefty though. I didn't mind the decision. I really didn't. First pitch, blew it by him with a fastball. And I was like, all right, it's looking all right. Second pitch, fastball, inside. He cranks it. I'm like, series over. It's over, dude. Series is over. It was unbelievable. Like this, I'd never seen anything that chilling before in a game. And it's a core memory for me for sure.
Oh yeah. No, like that home run was that you knew the series was over right then. Obviously. Like you knew there's series you can go back to in baseball and just watch like certain games and you're like, yeah, this series is long gone. And I will say there's other series where you watch like the first two games, like the Phillies versus Diamondbacks this year. I thought that series was over. I thought they were going to get swept. The Phillies look dominant. Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, literally everybody on that team dominant.
So I have a question for you. It's 3-2 right now. Game 6 is tonight. By the time this posts tomorrow, will the series be over?
It will. I do not think it will. I think Arizona.
Do you think this
goes into Philadelphia, Philly? And they win tonight to force a game.
All right, bold take. Just do you think they're doing it for drama or?
No, I did. Yeah, it's scripted.
It's fully scripted. Yeah.
All sports are scripted. But also, what other series ends tonight? Who will be advancing? The Houston Astros or the Texas Rangers?
Yeah, so this is not Detroit sports, but this is important. So I know the matchup tonight really, really favors the Astros. Like, really favors. Javier has been absolute nails. Scherzer looks like a AAA guy coming up for the first time. But I think Scherzer puts on a good showing tonight. He has to. He has to, or his legacy is it's affected, and I don't know. Like, I feel like he has to do something tonight. And also, though, he's starting, but his leash is small. Like, I think if he gets 2 runners on, he's getting pulled. Like, that's how short I think his leash is tonight, and I would not blame them at all for that.
Yeah, I think he's got a really short leash, and I think that if they need to, depending on how Scherzer is doing, that there's a chance another Texas Rangers starter will come in tonight to pitch.
Yeah.
So
I do agree. And then also that the Rangers have been killing the baseball recently. And so I don't even know if it matters who pitches for either team. It's going to be a bloodbath. It's just going to be.
Yeah.
Adolis might hit 17 home runs tonight, and Jordan might hit 18. Like,
and Seager will get on every at-bat.
Yep, Seager's going to get walked every at-bat. Anyways, So in the world of Detroit sports, we kind of have one really, really good news, good thing. 2 kind of meh. One's good, but 2 they're kind of meh. And then one pretty bad thing that happened over the weekend, and we'll get to that. But first, we're going to talk about just one of the meh things, and it's kind of expected to happen, and that's the Pistons this year. They ended their preseason with a 2-2 record. They beat the Thunder twice and lost to the Mavs and Suns. And I don't know how many of the games you watched. I'm going to guess not a whole lot. And to be honest, neither did I. Yeah. But in the small amount that I did watch, I didn't get excited about a whole lot. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really did not watch much at all. Like, I may have watched 4 minutes of one game.
It's preseason.
And half the time, I'm going to admit, I don't really watch the NBA until it's, like, close to the postseason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, college basketball, I'll watch.
Mm-hmm.
But, honestly, what I've seen on stats, which I know it's preseason, what I've seen on stats and what I've seen on highlights is I'm really liking our draft picks. Like, Asar Thompson, not Thomas, looks really good. Like, just he looks
like solid. He looks like a dude who's gonna work.
Yes, I think he will work, and I think he'll end up being pretty good. What about you?
To kind of piggyback off that, the other draft pick that we had has actually looked like he's going to be a pretty solid role player, and that's Marcus Sasser. He actually averaged 10.5 points per game this preseason. And actually, if you look at the stats here, points per game, they all kind of averaged around 10. A lot of the starters and bench guys. I think that just goes along with how many minutes were played. They all played about the same amount of minutes too. So that's why it's so hard to judge preseason, especially basketball, because everyone's getting equal playing time. Like, I think it's a little easier for football. You can see, like, usually you have second team versus second team and third team versus third team out there. So, like, it's a little easier to see there. But I think basketball is so hard because you're just trying to get guys minutes. And so there's not a whole lot of takeaways, but I do have a few. And that's Killian Hayes led our team in points per game in the preseason. I have mixed feelings about him going into this season. I wasn't really sure how much of an effect he was going to have on the team in a positive way, but he actually kind of surprised me over the preseason. I thought that he would be 5 or 6 in points per game, but he wasn't, and he was number 1. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on Killian Hayes has been mixed over like last year, very mixed. But also just looking at the stats and it just looking like defensively, just the steals, two steals per game in the preseason, which I know it's preseason, you're going to be guarding different guys that you're probably not going to be guarding in the regular season. It's all about getting certain players minutes. But just 2 steals per game in the preseason and just averaging, I think it was around like 23 minutes per game. And his assists were also up there. I think that's a huge thing about Killian Hayes is on this team. is I think he will move the ball around pretty well. And I remember last year watching the Pistons, he was moving the ball around pretty well. Yes, he has some turnovers, but every guy's going to have turnovers. But I think Killian Hayes will grow into a player who won't be like, which, who knows, because preseason he led in points per game.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he'll grow into a player that's like a pass-first player,
Okay.
and is going to get the ball to Thompson and Cade and Jaden Ivey and those guys.
Yeah. So what I saw was just a young team that looked like they wanted to work. Like, honestly, like scoring, I think, could be an issue this year, but I think that we could be a top 10 defensive team this year. I really do. We got young athletes on the squad, right? Asar is going to be up there and defensive rookie of the year for sure. And you got these, we brought in these shooters, right? We brought in Alec Burks and Joe Harris, who are just known for just letting them go from deep. And I think if they can spread the floor and give Cade and Jaden a little space, that could be a good way to kind of go this season. I'm not expecting a whole lot, and we'll talk about the projections here in a second. But I think that this is just another building year, and we shouldn't expect much. We really shouldn't. We should expect a better year than last year, with the 17 wins we had last year. But I wouldn't expect a 10 seed sort of wild card spot at all. I would expect us to be bottom 5 again in the East. But I don't think we'll be last like we were last year. And things are trending in the right direction, right? Is that what you think that too? Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. And so hopefully we get to see some sparks of what we could be. And let's go into the projection here. So per Bleacher Report, the Pistons' projected win total this year is actually, I want you to guess. I want you to guess first. 17 last
Young
year.
team.
There might have been some tanking
My
involved.
guess is no. That's illegal in sports.
Yeah,
there's no tanking. Yeah. My guess is probably going to be around like 23.
23. Okay. So you think 6 more than last year?
Yeah.
So Bleacher Report actually has the Pistons' projected win total at 26. Now,
okay,
that is kind of around where I could see us. I would love to hit 30. I think that'd be a solid year if we hit 30. But 26 seems a little low. However, per Bleacher Report, 26. Our over-under win total on the sports books is actually 28.5. So Bleacher Report's expecting us to do worse than what the sportsbooks think, which I don't know how I feel about that. But if you kind of look around the league, it just feels like everybody kind of got better, except for a few teams. It just kind of looks like everyone got better. And so I can kind of see what the guys at Bleacher Report were thinking here. But 20.5 to go over that, I think, is doable, especially given some of the assets we added this year. If we can kind of get those guys working together and stuff, I think we could go over that. However, we do have a pretty tough division, so let that speak for itself, I guess, with the Bucks and Bulls and Pacers and stuff in there. So, and Cavs. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. What are your thoughts on that?
I really do think that we can not easily, I shouldn't say easily, but I think there is a very good chance that we get over that 28.5 win total. I just, like, last year, Cade out for the entire year. Yeah, Jaden Ivey's rookie year. And honestly, I think with Cade coming back healthy, hopefully he comes back to himself. And I think there's a very good chance that we get over that 28.5 win total.
Yeah, I think so too.
I will say, I think there's even a chance that we possibly make the play-in, but we are in it's a very tough division. And honestly, conference, like the Eastern Conference, has been growing a lot in
For
these
sure.
recent years. Like, it used to just be the Western just dominating everything, the Western Conference.
For sure.
But I think the Eastern is growing a lot.
No, I do 100% agree. So these are the bottom teams that finished last year, and I want you to think if we can get past these 5 teams and into the play-in. Okay, so last year Pistons finished last with 17 wins, atrocious by the way. 14th were the Hornets, 13th Magic, 12 Wizards, 11 Pacers. I mean, those teams aren't great, but they're not terrible. Like, you could see the Pacers kind of have a decent year with Halliburton at the helm and stuff. The Hornets, if LaMelo comes back, I mean, that's a decent team. I mean, this is a tough division or a tough conference. It really is. So I don't know. We'll see. We hope to make the play-in.
Yeah. Now, I think if we don't finish above the Wizards this year, then we have an issue.
Sell the team.
They got sell the team. They got Jordan Poole, who just shoots the ball, which I love Jordan Poole, Michigan fan. Love Jordan Poole to death.
That shot against Houston.
They got Jordan Poole.
That should have been my moment. Anyways, continue.
They got Jordan Poole and they got Kyle Kuzma. They're gonna average 60 shots a game each. Like,
so accurate too.
Combined.
It's so true.
They'll average 60 shots combined per game, and they're not gonna pass the ball to anybody else. If the ball is in Jordan Poole's hand, Jordan Poole, I think, will have a very good year this year, and I say that because
like good year stat wise, or being a legitimate player.
Good year.
Okay, yeah.
I think because if you look at Bradley Beal on that team, he was like really, really good. And I don't think Jordan Poole will turn into Bradley Beal this year. Like, that would be insane to say of me.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Jordan Poole, you will see an increase in his like points per game, assists. You might not see an increase in his assists.
He's gonna get the ball more. It's just natural.
Rebounds.
It's the James Harden effect, right? A guy who shoots a lot gets the ball a lot.
Yeah.
So I think he could too. He's gonna be the dude on that team, so he's gonna have to distribute.
Oh, yeah.
He can't take the ball all for himself, you know. All right.
And coming from the Warriors with Steph and Clay teaching him, I think he could turn out to be a very good shooter.
Yeah, if he takes some of those values, for sure, 100%. All right, let's transition into the next Detroit team to talk about. And there's a good thing we want to talk about and a bad thing we're going to talk about with this team. And that's the Detroit Tigers. All right. So with the year kind of ending, you're seeing some stats, right? Some really, really disgusting stats from a certain Detroit Tiger that we call Javi Baez. All right. Now, Javi Baez and Tim Anderson finished as the 2 worst qualified hitters in baseball. 6 years ago, they were the 2 best. Like, isn't that just nuts?
Yeah.
Javi Baez, I could see. Tim Anderson, I didn't see so much happening. But that White Sox organization, that's a whole nother topic that we could get into later. Whatever. But, I mean, Javi Baez, dude. Like, we could get into this for probably 3 hours about just watching him and everything. But WRC plus, Javi Baez finished with 61. League average is 100. 61. Tim Anderson at 60. Also atrocious. But if I watch games, Javi just looks lost. And what are your thoughts? What do you think?
Yeah, no. When I watched Tigers games this year, I watched tons of Tigers games.
A lot of Tigers games,
I swear, you could throw that man 6 straight outside sliders, and he's just gone. Like,
exactly.
Swear to God, you just like. And I will admit, his on base percentage was .267.
That's actually better than I thought. That's actually better than I thought, though.
It's better than I thought, but still, for how much we're paying that man.
Yep.
What we thought he was going to bring to this table. But now I've been doing more research into Javi, and when you look back at his years with the Cubs, his whiff rate and his stuff like that, he was a guy that was like, his whiff rate was still high.
Mm-hmm.
He's a guy that either, in my opinion, strikes out or he's getting on base somehow.
Yeah.
But
And whiff rate doesn't mean bad hitter, right? It just means you're a power guy, right? I mean, if you look at the leaders in whiff percentage this year, guys ahead of Javi's 11, guys ahead of him, Bryce Harper, Luis Robert, who almost won MVP, Nick Castellanos,
who's been a dog
no
in the
comment.
playoffs.
And I mean, that's pretty much it. And Jake Berger's on there, Eugenio Suarez, whatever. But those are the guys right in front of him. And actually right behind him at 12 is Shohei Ohtani. So whiff rate doesn't always mean you're a bad hitter. But here's the thing with whiff rate is you can have a high whiff rate, but when the ball comes into the zone, that's when you have to hit it, and you have to hit it hard. So I have the barrel percentage. So that's percentage of balls you barreled that you hit. So Shohei, remember, he was low on the whiff or high on the whiff rate. He's the highest barrel rate percentage in the league at 19.6. Javi, I gotta scroll a long ways. 110th with a 5.2 barrel percentage. That's what's wrong. It's okay to have a guy that whiffs a lot if he's swinging at balls in the zone and hitting them. It's okay to have a guy who strikes out a lot. You see Kyle Schwarber strikes out almost as much as Javi does. But he hit 50 pumps this year. And Javi's not even close to that. Divide that by 10, and that's Javi this year. Like, that's unreal.
Did he even get 10?
No, divide 50 by 10. Do you have 5? I think he had 5.
Oh, okay.
I have to look it up. I think he had 5.
Yeah. And also pointing on the fact of like the whiff rate and stuff. If you scroll down even a little further past like Shohei and Javi and stuff like that, you have Matt Olson up there, who is one of the most dominant hitters this year. If Ronald Acuna wasn't a thing, probably would be the MVP, if not Mookie Betts. But honestly, you got Matt Olson, but his barrel percentage 16.4. Insane.
That's what I'm saying. Whiff doesn't mean bad hitter. You can whiff. So when people talk about Javi has a terrible whiff rate, of course, I mean, there's so many guys who have terrible whiff rates, right? It's not just you can't just look at a whiff rate and be like, oh, terrible hitter, can't bat to ball, doesn't make contact kind of thing. So speaking of, you mentioned earlier his contract, all right, and his contract actually has an option this year, 2024. Don't get excited. It's not a club option, because if it was a club option, see ya, but it's not. It's a player option. Yeah. So I don't have exactly Javi's quote here, but I read this earlier. And basically, talking about his option, Javi said, I actually really enjoy the Tigers' culture here and what they're building, and I love seeing the young guys and what they're doing. I have no words. What is he going to say? I hate the Tigers. I want them to get rid of me. Where are you going to go?
Yeah.
You're not going to make the Mud Hens roster. You're going to be playing in the farm league, bro. Like, of course he has to take the option.
I mean, there's definitely teams where he would benefit on, I think. Like, there's teams where he could go and he would be good. Like, I really do think. But I understand what he's saying, though. What the Tigers are building, I think, will be good sometime.
Oh, for sure.
What
What he's saying is true.
He's being serious about that. What he's saying is true, and what it's showing is that I don't know for sure, obviously, but it seems like he's a good leader in the building for these younger guys. Yes,
he's a good example of what not to do.
And I mean, it's not like Javi is the worst player of all time, but that last season, watching him,
atrocious.
Just it pissed me off.
Atrocious.
Pissed me off.
It's just disgusting to see. And I actually have Scott Harris's comments from this year on Javi Baez's season. So he says he's working really hard behind the scenes. I think there are some things that we can change about the specific assets he's working on, making adjustments that can enhance his performance both at the plate and in the field. But we haven't achieved that yet. We haven't seen the best version of Javi. I hope not. We are determined to make significant efforts this offseason. We have innovative approaches to share with him during the exit interview and new ways to support him. It's going to require collective organizational commitment to help Javi. If Scott's going to commit to Javi, which you have millions of dollars tied into him, you have to get something better than what happened last year. Because not only was he terrible offensively, he was not great defensively. You could argue 2 years ago, he made some of his money back, or some of that investment was made back in his defense. This year, I don't have the numbers in front of me just now, and I can look them up in a second, but I'm like pretty sure he was top 5 in errors this year, and I can look that up. But let me hear your thoughts real quick.
Yeah, no. Javier Baez, just what Scott Harris is saying is yes, they need to fix something about this man, because if he puts on a worse showing than he did this year, man, I don't even know what I would do, because what I watched this year was horrible. Just in the field, at the plate, just did not look good at all. Did not look worth the money.
Yeah.
And I think there is a chance that, also known as, there better be a chance that Javi comes back better next year.
I hope so.
I don't know if you can get much worse. I honestly don't know if you could get much worse. You can. You definitely can.
Yeah.
But
so
it is definitely not.
Yeah, no, you're good.
It is definitely not the best Javier Baez we have ever seen.
No, definitely
because the Cubs.
I hope this isn't what he becomes. I hope this is just an off year. These last 2 years have been off years, and I hope he can,
new team,
hard ballpark to hit in, and it's hard to play for a team that struggles. You can see that with the White Sox now. The White Sox have one of the best rosters in baseball, and they just have organizational issues, and it makes the players play bad, right? The Tigers, they've been working to improve these organizational and player issues, and they're doing so much better. I love our young core guys, and I think it's going to help boost sort of the morale in the dugout, in the clubhouse. And I think it's going to help Javi. I think it will. It'll also take some attention off of him and onto the other guys. We kind of see that with like Shohei and the Angels, right? Shohei's playing. They don't have to pitch to him. They can pitch to anybody else. So I think that'll help him too. And I do have the errors leaders on here. So this has nothing to do with the defensive runs saved or anything. This is just straight errors. So Trey Turner led the league in errors with 23. He also hit 300, stole 25 bags, and yeah. So he made up for his money there, right? You're not expecting Trey Turner to be a defender. Number 2, C.J. Abrams played 151 games. Young guy, not the best defensively. We knew that. Not the best offensively. He's playing for shortstop for not a great team. They're hoping he improves. He's a young guy. 3rd, Javier Baez. 130 games played. So 20 less than Trey Turner and 20 less than C.J. Abrams. He has 19 errors. So you add 20 games in there, he has 1 or 2 more. He's in second place. All right. So
yeah,
he's not helping us defensively. He's not. He makes so many errors.
No. And I mean, the error stat, if I haven't gone back and looked at all of his errors in this season, but some of those errors might have been like a hard hit ball that they ended up calling an error that was
that's why it's hard to talk about errors.
It's hard to talk about errors because you never know what they're going to call an error. And I'm trying to defend Javi here a little bit because he is a Tiger, but it's hard to.
It is.
It's hard to.
So speaking of Javi and his worst pitch being hit, a slider. Let's talk about a Tiger who has an insane slider. Tyler Holten just got announced that he's all rookie second team. Do you know who the all rookie first team reliever was by chance? It was
Was it?
It was Yiner Cano. Yiner Cano.
Okay,
who
I couldn't remember.
Has nasty delivery and throws hard, right? No one's hitting that. Number 2, Tyler Holten.
Yeah.
Do you know where he came from and everything?
Honestly, do not know where he came from. I know it was the U.S., but honestly, have no idea where
Yeah,
he came
so
from.
he actually, this is his first year rookie eligibility. He actually played for the Diamondbacks last year. I believe he threw like 9 innings and gave up like a 1 earned run,
Oh
but
yeah,
we got him this offseason. And I don't think, I mean, I didn't expect too much from him. I really didn't. I actually thought our bullpen was going to be one of the worst in the MLB. And it wasn't terrible, especially in the first half of the season. But Holten, he just flat out shoved a 2.11 ERA in 59 games, 85 innings with a 2.10 ERA plus. That's really good, to say the least.
Oh, it's very good. Yeah.
So comparing him to Yiner Cano, right, and to all other relievers, so that finishes him in ERA 12th among all relievers in baseball. That's your Devin Williams. That's your Felix Bautistas, right? Those guys. He's with the big guys.
Yeah.
He's hanging in there.
Yep.
And actually, that ties him for first with Cano for ERA. They both tie with 2.11. When we talk about innings pitched, though, he was actually number 1 in innings pitched as a rookie for rookies, and so that's kind of the hitter there. And I actually want to do some other comparisons here with Yiner Cano because I actually think Holten might have got snubbed. I mean, the seeing eye test would say different. That Yiner's just disgusting. You're not hitting him, and but the stats kind of surprise you. So Ks per 9, Yiner Cano has an 8.05 this year. Tyler Holten, 7.8. So 0.2 off, 0.25 off. Like, that just surprises me. You got Tyler Holten, who throws maybe 93, maybe touches 94 or 95. But he just finds ways to punch guys out.
He shoved this year.
That's a great way. He just shoved. Like, I don't know how else to put it.
When I was looking at the Tigers roster before the season, if you would have told me that
you just
Tyler
grace
Holten
past his
probably
name,
been the best pitcher on the team, I don't even think I knew who he was when I first looked at that.
I know,
roster.
and then he just shoved all year.
Yeah.
People expected him to decline, but he didn't. He just kept shoving, and I think he surprised a lot of people. So, in run value, he's in the 97th percentile of all pitchers in run value. His fastball also in the 97th percentile for run value in baseball. That's incredible. But even better, and this is what you like to see from guys with slow velo, and I wouldn't say slow. He throws 90, he tops out at 93, 94. His average MPH is 91 on his fastball. But what you like to see from guys who don't throw as hard is this average exit velo. He's in the 93rd percentile as a left-handed, slow-throwing reliever, the 93rd percentile. 88th for hard hit rate. 88th for walk rate. Like, this is a guy who's going to be an elite reliever. I hope this wasn't a fluke year. I don't think so. He looks solid. He has a six pitch mix. Fastball, changeup, cutter, slider, sinker, curveball. He throws his curveball 3% of the time. The other pitches are all over 12%. So he's throwing every pitch consistently. You got guys like Spencer Strider who throw 2 pitches. They're dominant, but they're 2 pitches. Then you got guys like Tyler Holten who throw 6 and just deal. They shove. They paint the corners. They get nasty break on it and stuff. Speaking of nasty break, his slider is unbelievable. Like, that thing moves more than I think I've ever seen a slider move. And the data proves it. Horizontal movement. The league average, his inches of break horizontally on his slider, 12.3 inches of horizontal break.
That's ridiculous.
That's unreal. Ridiculous. That is 4.4 inches more than the average slider.
Dude,
that's what's insane. Helping him. I mean, his diverse pitch mix helps him. His slider that moves 12 inches helps him.
Yeah, no, it's insane. And you talk about the hard hit percentage. in how many innings was it thrown? He pitched 85 and 1/3 inning this year. He only gave up 9 home runs, which isn't bad at all.
No.
Like, and I understand, yes, some of them you're pitching in Comerica, which is one of the least friendly hitter parks. It's more friendly to pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
But still, only giving up 9 home runs over the entire season, pitching 85 and 1/3 innings, is still insane for a rookie.
It's very good.
You got rookies out there just can't even make it through the whole season without getting sent back down.
Exactly.
He was insane the entire season, and I mean, his whip rate at his whip at .867.
Yeah.
It's insane. Like less than 1 walk and hit per inning is just insane.
Yeah, I believe that's one of the league's best, actually.
Yeah, I don't know where he ranks in the league. I just have
I think I saw something actually that's the lowest out of a rookie since like 2014. I'd have to look this up to verify, but since like 2014, Dylan Betances, he had something lower, and then 1908, some plumber I've never heard of had a lower whip rate. So I think he's gonna be. I think he's gonna be good. Is he a closer guy? No, he doesn't have that. He doesn't have that velo to be a closer guy. Is he a middle reliever guy that's gonna shut down guys when your starter gives up 3-4? Yeah, that's what he's gonna be.
Yeah, he's a setup guy in my opinion. He's a very good setup guy. He can go 3 innings if he needs to, and he's going to shut those 3 innings down. He's not a closer. He doesn't have the velo, and you don't see closers going out there throwing a 5-pitch mix.
True.
You see closers going out there blowing by 102-mile-per-hour fastball, and then either got a nasty like splitter or change or screwball if you're Devin Williams, or just something insane.
Yeah, the Yoan Duran 95-mile-an-hour splitter with a 102 fastball and an 85-mile-an-hour curve that moves 20 inches. Like, he's not that
insane.
We're not saying he's that.
No.
We're saying he's a middle guy that can take you from 6 to 8, from the 6th inning to the 8th inning, and you could be confident with him out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, transition now off the good news from Tyler Holten. We're going to talk about the most atrocious thing this weekend, the Lions game. They lost on Sunday to the Baltimore Ravens. They didn't just lose.
Do we have to talk about this?
They didn't. We have to. They didn't just lose. They got their butts kicked 38-6. 38-6. Just what are your instant thoughts on that game? Like, don't look at stats. What did you see?
My instant thoughts on that game is that is the worst I've seen our secondary play all year. It is the worst I've probably seen our secondary play in 3+ years. Our D-line had absolutely no pressure. Lamar could do whatever the hell he wanted back there and get away with it.
Yep.
And then just you can see the impact that David Montgomery has on that offensive side of that ball. Because David Montgomery not being in that game, forcing Jahmyr Gibbs, which is nice. Seeing Jahmyr Gibbs get touches is nice. But just seeing the offense struggle that much, which I'm not going to say we're the best team in the NFL. I would never say that. It's the Detroit Lions. But just what we've seen this year out of them, every good
You expected more.
Has a bad game.
Yes.
Every season. Like, you expect more. And just as Lions fans, we're finally winning games. And it's just amazing to see. And when we get blown out like this, it makes you start thinking, is it
PTSD?
A fluke? I don't think
PTSD is what we call it.
I don't think it's a fluke. And honestly, the Baltimore Ravens are the toughest game we are going to play until we hit the Dallas Cowboys. I think it's week 16. We have like the 3rd easiest schedule in the NFL. And the Dallas Cowboys are the only team over 500 right now that we will play the entire season.
Yeah.
Like,
That's unreal.
And yes, I understand we have the easiest schedule, but like going back to previous games where we struggled last year against certain teams, we have dominated. Like the Panthers, we got ran on by the Panthers last year for like their running backs had career
Trap
days,
game.
Chuba Hubbard, and yeah, like it was a trap game. And what I saw last year on the Lions at the end of the season, I never even expected to be hoping for the playoffs at the end of the season.
Exactly.
But when we were hoping for the playoffs, then we lost the Panthers. Oh, it killed me. But just seeing the dominant performances and seeing our run defense that was not good last year at all, seeing the run defense we've had this year is insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do agree. We proved that we were still human, right? I think people weren't believing in us at first, and they started to, and then this happened and proved that we were human. So I actually have 3 takeaways on each side of the ball, not looking at stats or anything. So what I saw corners who were 1 and 2 steps behind, mentally and physically. They looked like they weren't ready to be there. Tracy Walker played Odell pretty tough, almost too tough. He got 2 penalties there, and I just saw guys who just looked like they just looked behind. I don't know. It's just weird. My second point on defense is that I felt like Lamar had 3 to 5 business days to throw the ball. Dude, we have to get somebody else on that line, and we'll talk about that in a second. My third is a lackluster QB spies. I felt like our middle linebackers didn't show up too much. I felt like Anzalone had a really, really good first few games, and this one I didn't see him a whole lot. I thought he was going to have an insane game, and personally, I thought him and Jack Campbell were going to be the reason we won or lost this game. And I don't know if that necessarily proved to be true or not because our offense didn't show up either. But in the back of my mind, that's what I thought instinctively going into this game, is these two are going to be huge. And they didn't really show up.
Yeah.
On offense, I felt like we had no rhythm, and our first down plays were atrocious. I don't think we gained more than 2 yards on first downs for like the first 4 or 5 drives. Like we just ramped the middle and they stopped us. Like we didn't do anything. We either got pressured with Goff or we just ramped the middle for 2 yards. It was weird. Our offense was way too predictable, kind of going along with that, run up the middle, first down, run the ball,
Yeah.
And thirdly, we have to get the ball into our playmakers' hands. You saw that later in the game. Amon-Ra finished with over 100 yards, and Gibbs finished with over 100 scrimmage yards. Those are our 2 guys. When Montgomery's out, those are our 2 guys we got to rely on. Jamison Williams is not a playmaker guy. He's not. He's going to run deep. And Goff tried to hit him a few times, and it didn't work. When you're running behind, you can't rush to score. You got to just go back to your fundamentals, get the ball in your playmakers' hands.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%. Like, the people are saying that Jamison Williams is a bust. No, I think just seeing Jamison Williams, and I've had friends texting me, friends saying stuff to me about how Jamison Williams can't catch. I'm going to say this. Jamison Williams has not played much with Jared Goff.
True.
Yes, he's been on the team now for over a year. But injuries last year, suspended for the first 3 games. Supposed to be 6. Was it 3? It was either 3 or 4. Can't remember how early he came back. Okay. But he's one of those guys where he's not going to be like a Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's not going to be like these guys that are going to catch a million passes per game. He's going to be that guy. And he's going to be better. In my opinion, he's going to be better. He's going to be like that Josh Reynolds type, where he's going to catch 2 to 4 balls a game, but they're going to be good yardage balls. And I think once you see him and Goff getting a better connection, and this team get deeper into games, deeper into the season, I could see him catching these wide receiver screen passes, and I could see him
just let him go.
For some yards. Yeah, and I could see Gibbs doing the same thing.
100%. So we'll talk more about the receiving core in next episode. We're going to do a segment on that because these are pretty interesting this year. But first, we got to shout out Jahmyr Gibbs. First career touchdown. Hopefully many to come.
Oh, yeah.
He looked good when we got him some space. He looked like what we thought he was going to be.
In space, he's looked very good this year. And I mean, if you go back to, I know he hasn't carried the ball much. I know he hasn't played much. But if you go back to before this game, I don't know the exact what it was. but he was averaging like 5.4 yards per carry or something like that. Like, when you get the ball into his hands, he is that playmaker type of guy that is going to just make stuff happen. And you saw that a couple times in this game where it looked like he was going to get tackled for a 2 to 4 yard loss. And he somehow, yes, he only gained a yard on it. But in my mind, it looked like a 5-yard gain just because of where the defense was when they first hit him.
Yeah, so I'm not going to call it that the Lions have a problem. I call it a conundrum. And that's the fact that we have 3 dynamic running backs that I don't care if either of them get the ball. I like all of them. Craig is just scrappy and he's going to fight for yards. Little guy is going to fight. David is just Montgomery.
Throw blocks.
Yeah, throwing blocks too. Yeah, Montgomery is just so consistent. He's going to get you that 4 or 5 yards of carry. And Gibbs is so shifty that he might do some weird stuff and gain 3. He might do some weird stuff and gain 30. You never know. So my question is, how do we manage having these 3 dynamic running backs? I want your opinion. I want your thoughts.
Honestly, I do like what they've been doing so far this season, and I understand. I drafted Javier Gibbs. I took the fantasy.
We all did.
Drafted him like the 3rd round, 2nd round. No, it was 3rd. Drafted him like the 3rd round. Expect him to be this pass catching, this dominant. But just the way David Montgomery has been playing this year, David Montgomery, in my mind, clear number 1.
Surprised me this year.
But it did. Honestly, it surprised me a lot this year too. But I think we could start running a lot more like split sets. You got 2 running back sets where you run like a play action, and if Jameer Gibbs is open on the flat, he can gain yards on the flat, in my opinion, if he's open.
Yeah.
He's going to make people miss. I think you start running more 2 running back sets, which I know
that's fine. No, yeah.
I know that's going to take a receiver away. But honestly, with David, Jameer, one other wide receiver, and then Amon-Ra and Sam Laporta has been insane this year. With those guys out there, I really do think that we could run a very good offense with a 2 running back set. And then once like one gets tired in certain downs, you bring Craig Reynolds in to just
throw a block 30 yards downfield.
My God, is that he's a guy. He's a locker room guy. He's not like he's good too.
He's probably the best
just
running back 3 of any team in the league.
Yeah, no, like he's been insane. Now, Cordero Patterson, Atlanta Falcons.
Is he? Oh, I guess he is. That's crazy.
Bijan and then Tyler. Yeah, Cordero.
That's crazy.
But I ain't gonna say
we're not gonna talk about the Falcons.
Craig Reynolds is better than no. But no, and just I do think that this team can be very good, but there's like after that game, there's a lot of minor hiccups that we need to fix. We've lost that game by a dominant margin, but as soon as the Ravens scored those first 2 touchdowns,
you could see something was off.
Lost. We had nothing. You could see, we were just bad.
So I actually sort of disagree with you on the running backs. I actually think that we should just keep going with 1, but we can rotate them, and I really wouldn't care. So we've kind of seen it. Yeah. What we're doing this year is we haven't had a game where all 3 running backs are healthy, besides maybe the first game. So having 2 good running backs available all the time is fine. That's what you want. So I actually think we keep doing what we're doing. Don't tire these guys out. Don't if they get their toe stepped on and need to come out for a play or 2, dude, have them come out for a play or 2. We don't have to work them. And maybe that's an ego thing with the running backs. They don't want to come out. So they're just saying they're fine. Maybe that's what's happening too. But I do think that we can just keep doing what we're doing kind of, and then just rotate them. So speaking of the Lions still, I do want to shout out a good game by Isaiah Buggs. Now the stats don't necessarily show it, right? 4 tackles and a tackle for loss. Like that's just a normal D tackle. That's a good D tackle every game. But I just think that he looked like he belonged in the NFL. And there were some questions with that. I think he looked like a solid D tackle. And he looked like a run stopper, and I loved it. I thought he was awesome.
Yeah. No, him and McNeil, Ali McNeil on the inside this year have been very good at stopping them.
Mm-hmm.
I know last game, horrible. Like, Bugs wasn't bad last game. Like, in the first half, like, we still didn't give up a whole lot of rushing yards to the running back.
No.
I mean,
up the middle especially.
I don't know what the game total was for running backs for yards, because I'm not going to talk about Lamar Jackson. Because he had the game. It's the best game I've ever seen.
I will tell you, they had.
We're not talking about that.
They had 100 yards rushing without Lamar.
Okay, which is the most,
or 110. Sorry, 110.
Which is the most any team has put up.
Exactly.
On us all year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, this by far the worst game. Like, the Seahawks game, yes, we lost, but it was a shootout, close game. D-Blees played bad that game too, in my opinion. We couldn't guard Lockett and DK.
Yeah.
But watching last game, we need help. And but I really do think that Bugs will become a very good run stop, and I think he already is up there.
Yeah. So you said we need help, right? So I actually have some potential trade candidates, not for run stopping, because I think we're okay in that category. It's for pass rush.
Oh, yeah.
Because Aiden Hutchinson is working his ass off. He's getting double teamed every play. And I wouldn't, if I was the other team, I would do the same thing. They got no one coming off the other side. Well, it's Romeo Okwara or Josh Pascal coming off the other side. Like, I'll take my left tackle in that every day of the week. Every day. So I have some potential trade candidates, right? 3 guys that have been rumored to be on the block this year. Number 1 I'd love to see is Max Crosby.
Oh, dude.
It would take a lot, but we have a lot. It would be insane. Those 2 would be absolutely nuts. Cut from the same cloth. They're just dogs who work, man. They're just scrappy white guys that work.
Oh, yeah.
Next up, Danielle Hunter. Having the season of his career. I think he's leading the league in sacks. I mean, maybe not with Myles Garrett's game, but heck of a game, by the way. But Danielle Hunter's up there. And also up there with Danielle Hunter is Brian Burns. I think he's 4th or 5th. I think he'd be another guy to come off, a little speed guy coming off the edge. I think that'd be insane. Like, it'd force them to go up the middle, force guys to go up the middle, step up into pressure, where that's when Aiden Hutchinson can spin back to the middle and grab him. I think that'd be so sick. I'd love to see Brian Burns. The other 2 guys come from the Commanders, and it's Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Either of those guys, same thing, speed guys, right? They're going to come off the edge, they're going to come off the hard. I think it would be kind of sick to see Chase Young and Aiden Hutchinson on the same team coming off the edge together. It'd be like the most Big Ten poetic thing I've ever seen in my life, and I'm here for it. I would cheer for him. I would 100% cheer for him. He'd be a dog. What do you think?
I would cheer for Chase Young in that situation. Honestly, yes. I think we need to play this trade deadline right. And I think we need another end. I think we need to try to trade for another end, which who knows what we'll have to give up. But I really do think that we'll have to trade for another pass rush. And my other hopeful trade target that has been rumored to be, but also not, and it's been like kind of up in the air because who knows what the Denver Broncos are doing. But if Pat Surtain goes on to the trade block, if we can somehow pull him off, and
that'd be unreal.
Like a Montez Sweat or a Chase Young type of guy, this defense will become very, very good.
Very good. So Max Crosby, I think, is going to cost the most. I think that's obvious. But he's number 1 on my list. He is. Danielle Hunter and Brian Burns being a little bit older, I think they're going to be a little cheaper, and teams are going to be more willing. Those teams are going to be willing to give them up more. And then I think Montez Sweat and Chase Young are going to be the cheapest. Coming from a Commanders team, they don't want to be there. Did you see Jonathan Allen's comments after the game? I'm not going to repeat them, but basically he just said the F word 4 times about how he hates the place so much. And I don't blame him. And I bet Montez Sweat and Chase Young are in full agreement with him. That is an insane D-line, by the way. And they're doing nothing this year. because that offense is atrocious and the coaching staff is just not having it. But anyways, I wouldn't mind having any of these guys. And we got the picks for it. 2024, we got a first, second, 2/3 and a fourth, and then a 5, 6, and 7. We have every pick in 2024, 2025, and 2026 with some additions in there because of the TJ Hawkinson trade and then the Patterson trade. We might not get that 7th round, whatever. But we have all of our picks, and we have such a young team right now. I wouldn't mind giving a lot of these up for guys who are going to help us.
I really don't want to give up any of our firsts.
Okay.
I don't think we give up our firsts.
If you had to give up a first for Max Crosby, would you do it?
Maybe. Yes.
Exactly.
I really do. If we had to give up one first for Max Crosby, I would do it.
Here's to hoping the Raiders keep losing.
Yes.
Keep selling.
100%. They're going to lose on Monday. Monday Night Football next week. They're
True.
losing.
True. Hopefully Max is on our team by then. Not happening.
No.
Not happening. All right, let's transition into the good Detroit news. The freaking Red Wings, man. They're insane. 4th best record in the league behind the Colorado, Boston, and Vegas. Those 3 teams are expected to be the best. But the Red Wings in 4th? No one expected that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No. I knew that we were going to be much better than last year. I honestly saw the Red Wings team as a playoff team this year. I saw sneaking into the wild card. And who knows? It's 5 games into the season. Anything can happen still. But the way that our offense has been going this year, you got Larkin on one wing. You got DeBrincat on the other wing. 1 and 2 in point leaders. Insane.
They're the best. They're the best wing duo in the league right now, and that's not debatable.
Like, it's not debatable right now. Like 1 and 2 in points. Larkin used in past couple years. I feel like used to be this shoot first type of guy, but he is handing the puck off, and he's handing the puck off to whoever needs it, and mainly right now is DeBrincat. I think it's I want to say it's 8 goals on the year right now. Yeah,
but he's not first, right? It's
I think after
Kucherov's first
yesterday, he might be. I don't remember.
He's up there though.
Who was first in the goal performance?
He's up there.
Yeah, I knew he was tied for number 2 before, like the last couple days. I knew he was tied for number 2. But
a lot of these teams have actually played one more game than the Red Wings have, right? The Red Wings are 4-1 or 4-1 or 5-1. No.
5-1.
My apologies. The Red Wings have actually played more games than some of the teams, like the Bruins and the Avalanche are 5-0 or something, I think. So we do have one more game on our belts.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that's insane having those guys 1-2. Like we finally have another winger for Larkin. He had been tasked with carrying this team, and you need someone else. And DeBrincat's been insane.
Yeah, and I mean, going into our young guys like Raymond and Mo Sider, they looked very good last year, and they're looking good again this year. I will say our defense, it needs help. Defensively, in my opinion, on the side, it needs help.
Defense is scary.
But our goaltenders this year, they've been good. He's good. Like, he's not like the best goalie in the league or anything like that. But I mean, he's saving shots. There's been 121 shots taken against him, and he saved 109 of them. He's let up 12 goals. But then you also got James Reimer, who's only played in 2 of the games, and he's got 54 shots taken against him, and he saved 52. He posted a shutout in his first game as a Red Wing. He looks very good. And I think having 2 guys that look good is going to win the Red Wings games this year. Because you're not going to have to play the same goalie every single game. And you're going to be able to give your number 1 goalie, whoever's number 1 on this team, whatever they decide, a rest. Which I think is very, very good.
So my question to you is, having 2 goalies, Do you think it's overall a good thing or a bad thing? Because I think that before the season, we can look each other in the eye and say, Billy Husso was our guy. He was going to be the guy this year.
Yeah.
And now, if you look at him from his perspective, he's like, oh, someone might beat me out. Does that does that decrease his morale, or does it spark some competition that's going to make them both improve and show what they're capable of?
Honestly, in my opinion, if you are worried about your spot getting, like, obviously you're going to worry. But if you're on a professional team and you guys are trying to do the most you can to win the title, which in the NHL, the Stanley Cup, obviously, but you're doing the best you can to win that title. And if you're getting mad that you're getting replaced a couple of games here and there to let you rest, and you guys are still winning games, you got a goalie who's still looking good, I don't think, in my opinion, it should matter. You guys are doing what the best you can do to win, and if you guys have a winning record and you guys are actually winning, I think that it's a very good confidence booster in that situation. And I think the rest is necessary, definitely for NHL goalies, because if you see, and definitely for the way our defense is playing, because they're getting a lot of shots attempted against them per game.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing a lot of work, and I really do think having 2 goalies this year right now is a very good thing.
So, speaking of winning games, last thing we have to mention is the big game last weekend, Michigan versus Michigan State, if that's what you want to call Michigan State. I kind of look like a JV football team out there, but Michigan, You think they go undefeated this year?
It's going to be tough. This last 4-game stretch, Purdue, we should. It's a trap game in my opinion.
I think it is too.
We should dominate Purdue. But to end the season, Penn State, Maryland, and Ohio State, it's going to be an insane ending to the season in this Big Ten Conference.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I did see I think it was Jim Harbaugh that said that J.J. McCarthy is setting himself up to be the best Michigan quarterback of all time. And instinctively, you're like, that can't be right. You look at the stats. It's kind of right.
I mean, if you look at batting placements and batting odds, J.J. McCarthy has had the most bets placed on him in these last 2 weeks.
Really?
For Heisman winner.
Really?
Yep. I saw it today.
Okay.
So people are saying that JJ has a chance at the Heisman. I don't see it happening.
And you saw Penix had a terrible game last week. He didn't throw a touchdown.
Penix had a terrible game.
Caleb Williams has been. Jaden Daniels looks good. He does. I'm worried about him.
Yeah.
And he's got the running aspect too. We'll see how it plays out. We will see. But
you will. These last 4 games are going to be very important.
For sure.
For how it plays out.
What do the Spartans do?
Sell the team even though it's college.
Yeah, tank for the first round draft pick. All right, that'll be it for us this week. Thank you guys for tuning in and watching. On Friday, you'll hear another Detroit update as well as the weekend slates overview. A new segment we're going to start where we shout out one of our old favorite Detroit athletes that you may or may not have forgot about, and maybe some player prop slips. If we're feeling confident, maybe we'll see.
Maybe.
All right, we are out of here.
Peace.
Peace.